afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be standing here before you today with some great news. You know, oftentimes from government, we have to come clean, we have to be transparent, we have to be open, and we have to be willing to work together with Canadians in how we move forward as a community, as a riding, as a province, and as a country. So thank you all very much for being here today, and I'm delighted to share this good news with you. You know, today is a day where we can tell everyone that hard work really pays off, and that when we stand united behind an issue, behind an objective, we will succeed. You know, and I will give you a little bit of background. In 2016, there was an e-petition that was tabled in the House of Commons. It was e-petition 411. This petition, it garnered about 70,000 signatures, and at that time, it was the biggest e-petition ever presented in the House of Commons. And this petition, it was an ask. It was a call to action that all Canadians come together and they call on our government to combat an issue of Islamophobia. And I was astonished to see that about 70,000 people thought that this was an issue. So I decided to do some research in it. And I was astounded even more because there was so little data, not just on this issue, but on the issue of discrimination and racism as it impacts all diverse communities across Canada. So when I wanted to answer this call to action by these about 70,000 people, I did realize that all diverse communities in Canada, they do face these issues. Whether it's the Black Canadian community or the Jewish community or the Chinese community or the Ukrainian community, so many as they've come and immigrated and called this country home, they have faced, as they settle, they have faced discrimination and racism. We as Canadians are open, we're accepting, but we need to continue to work on that openness and that acceptance so we can ensure that everybody who comes to settle here to call our country home can do it without fear, without feeling that they're not part of this wonderful place. So as a parliamentarian, I felt the need that we do need more concrete data to reflect on this problem. And I thought, what better place to identify and to study this issue than our House of Commons, the House of the People. So on December 1st, 2016, I had the privilege of tabling Motion 103. It was a motion that built upon e-petition 411, but really expanded it to include all communities, all the broader issue of systemic racism and religious discrimination that are faced by so many diverse communities. And to see how we can find ways to tackle the broader problem in Canada as a whole. My goal from this motion was not only to condemn hatred and discrimination in our Canada, but also to study it. Why does it happen? To understand it, and to find solutions to help strengthen the ties amongst Canadians and to continue to build bridges in our country. And there were so many amazing people who came together to support this cause, and some of whom are here today. Based on their hard work, their promotion, their raising awareness, we were on a really good path. Our Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, he stood firm in support. Our Minister of Canadian Heritage, the Honorable Melanie Joly, stood shoulder to shoulder with me and with all of us as we pushed the needle toward progress. On March 23rd, 2017, the House of Commons adopted Motion 103, which was asking for the Standing Committee on Canadian Heritage to study the issue of systemic racism and religious discrimination in Canada. The committee started their study. Hundreds of experts provided testimony and gave insights into the issue of systemic racism and religious discrimination. The committee used this feedback to draft a report with recommendations that was tabled back in the House of Commons, waiting for our government to respond. And here we are today. Today, I'm glad to announce that the hard work is translating into tangible action. Our government is investing an additional $23 million into the multiculturalism program. The new program enhances the existing Interaction multiculturalism funding by providing communities with more support for a broader range of celebrations and of activities. That's $23 million to fund projects and community-led activities that work towards eliminating discrimination, racism, and prejudice. That's $23 million that will fund local events that promote intercultural and interfaith understanding, as well as celebrations of a community's history and culture. That's $23 million that will fund projects that will help recipients promote diversity and inclusion by strengthening the online and social media presence of their organizations. Establishing their communication strategies, as well as enabling them to recruit and to train more volunteers. That's $23 million that will strengthen diverse communities and support anti-racism initiatives across the country to create a better Canada for all. And I say this with passion and with belief, knowing that every penny of this investment will better the life of someone who is neglected, who is sidelined, who is mistreated, who is having a difficult time finding a job because of what they look like, who faces systemic racism, who faces discrimination, who faces stereotypes that hold them back in entering and really contributing to our economy, that makes them a target of hate crimes, that stops them or that has a barrier to them really giving Canada their all. And I know that of all the people that move here and call this place home, we all want to contribute. We all want to make sure that we give back to the beautiful country that has given us so much. And I think it's incumbent upon our government to work in a whole of government approach, to work with civil society, to work with grassroots organizations, and with individual Canadians to ensure that we're continuing to push that needle towards progress, that we're continuing to build those bridges. Canadians are smart. Canadians are hardworking. Canadians come from all over the world, bringing talent, bringing passion, bringing diversity, bringing merit. And I think it is incumbent upon our government to just give them that foundation so they can do better and be better. We don't need support as Canadians, we need a foundation, and that is what our government is doing with this funding, with these $23 million that will go a long way towards helping organizations like the Boys and Girls Club of Peel that provide so much support to vulnerable youth within my riding and across Peel and Brampton. NCCM that does a lot of data collecting on hate crimes and really pushing that advocacy needle forward within our country. Or like Islamic Relief that does not only work within Canada, across the world in really removing those stereotypes. And there's so many more here that are present today that are working so hard. And this $23 million is going to provide support to community organizations such as all of you. I want to take this opportunity and to lastly thank the residents of Mississauga Erin Mills for their support in this journey from the moment that it started until today. You've been my backbone, and I am so grateful to represent you in Ottawa.